Well, welcome back on a Tuesday. I'm Marlin Bohling with you to take a look at our ag market activity and check in what's going on in different parts of the country today. We already heard from Amarillo, Texas, where things are still high and dry. They've been dry for a better part of 120 days now in that part of the country. Now I want to shift our focus and go to the eastern section of the country, in the Mid-Atlantic coastal region. We have Ben Hushon on the line. He's from Whitehall, Maryland. He runs the Mill, and let's go talk with Ben right now. Hey, Ben, how are you today?
I'm doing very well, Marlin, and unfortunately for Amarillo, we must be getting all the moisture over here. We've got 1 to 3 inches on the ground and more coming, so that obviously has pretty much knocked the farmers out of the field in our community.
So is it rain you're getting, or is it a mix of snow, or what are you having to put up with this week?
Well, what I've seen so far is all snow. They're talking about it transitioning over, but so far it's actually very pretty. It's wet, hanging on the trees, but not, I don't think we'll have any power line issues. But anyhow, it's certainly, like I say, for the farmers, it's pretty much driven them back inside to start working on their plan for 2018.
Yeah, exactly. What are they working with right now? I know last time you and I spoke, I believe you were talking about the need to be getting some soil sampling done this time of year while the guys are not doing field work.
Right.
What can you help them with in that regard there?
Well, Marlin, soil sampling, I probably misspoke last week, but soil sampling is pretty much over for us by Christmas. That's kind of the goal. But now's the time that, they've got their machinery fixed up, and it's time to go through their soil test results. And one of the things I mentioned last week, with all the new technologies, with map shots and R7 and many others, you can go through that information much easier than just laying a bunch of soil tests out. You can start seeing trends. So farmers are making appointments now with their trusted advisor. Some are still ordering the last of their seed. And quite honestly, as you well know, the end of this week's February, and it could break loose any time at that point on.
Well, I know you talk with producers on a daily basis. Given the way the market structure is right now, have you talked with them about maybe doing a little shifting of acres as we get into the 2018 season here? There
are a few who will move some acres, but it's interesting, Marlon. This community, when I say community, York and Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and then on down into Carroll, Baltimore, Hartford, Cecil, they have traditionally, in the last 20 years, been crop rotation. They rarely change from their corn, soybeans. Sometimes they'll throw some small grain in, but it's pretty well proven that you get better corn yields following a soybean yield. So it takes some convincing to get somebody to plant the same thing 2 years in a row. It's just so ingrained in them up in this community. Well, Ben, as always, thank you for the update on what's going on in the Mid-Atlantic part of the country there. I always look forward to talking with you. Ben Hushon happens to be with the Mill. He is based in Whitehall, Maryland, and we'll talk with you once again next week. I believe we have a look at the Dow that we were talking about a little bit ago, that we had a big sell-off today in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And looking live at the trading floor in New York, we'll see that it is now down 331 points. Continues its downward push here, giving back a lot of ground in a correction today. 26,108 right now. And just wanted to mention corn, by the way, is about 2 1/4 higher on the March. We have soybeans about 5 1/4 higher on the March. And Chicago March wheat is 4 3/4 higher as well, about a nickel higher. So the grain's in solid ground right now. We'll come back in a moment and we'll talk about our livestock trade next. Well, thanks for joining us. I'm Marlin Bohling with you here on a Tuesday morning. I'm glad you're doing well today. Thanks for being a part of the show. We want to take a look at your livestock information. And from yesterday, we had a little bit of information that came across the wire on our livestock summary. Just kind of wanted to share that with everybody and see what we had for cash cattle, cash hog sales around the nation. So if we can pull that up on the screen, we'll take a closer look. We actually had the USDA reporting a little bit of cash cattle market activity. Now the question is, was it holdover price action that we had seen from Friday? We had heard some talk about the fact that, well, they had active sales that developed late Friday after the cattle on feed report came out.
And the rumor was that we had heard a lot of cash sales in the country, anywhere from about 126 to maybe 127 on the top end. Well, the trade on the wire overnight said that we had some head that had sold at about 126 in the plains. The suggestion was that that could have been some late trade that had been carried over from the late Friday sales. Now, on the cash hogs reported by USDA, let's take a look at what they did nationally here yesterday. On a live basis on the hogs, we were actually $1.37 lower with a weighted average of 53.18. Meanwhile, on a carcass basis, here we had the hogs about 9 cents higher nationwide yesterday. They had a weighted average price of $69.23. The range of price ran from $62 to $70 per hundredweight. Now, for the total receipts on a carcass basis nationwide, we had about 5,000 head, and we had the live basis about 2,100 head sold yesterday. Iowa, Minnesota hogs on a live basis, not enough for a market trend, but they did sell about 1,100 in that channel. Meanwhile, on the carcass basis, we had the hogs about 59 cents higher at 69.48. Western Corn Belt hogs yesterday, 63 cents higher with a weighted average of 69.39. And Eastern Corn Belt hogs were at 55.12 on a live basis. That would have been about 13 cents higher on the day. And it looks like, well, it looks like on the live cattle board here this morning, we are down about $1.50, Christina, on the nearby contracts. We have feeders down about $1.60, and we have the lean hog trade narrowly mixed on the nearbys, but we have the April contract down about 92 cents right now at 72.50. So a lot of pressure creeping in here on the livestock trade in the early going here on a Tuesday.
Okay, thank you so much, Markets Editor Marlin Bohling.
There you go.